Do you want to learn how to make these beautiful crystals? Well, let me show you how they're made. Hey, I'm Lolstar. This is honestly my first video making a tutorial like this, hopefully the first of many to come. I've seen videos making gems in Blender, but all of them are either too realistic or they just paint the textures. Now of course realistic works for what they work. If you want realistic gems, then those tutorials are absolutely perfect for you. However, I have found myself wanting to create more interesting looking crystals, maybe more cartoony, more stylized as the title suggests. And of course, painting the textures is always an option, but if you're not a good artist or you just don't know how to paint them and actually make them beautiful, this is going to be a really hard method, so I wanted to find a method that was more procedural and didn't involve so much texture painting. And that is exactly what I found, and therefore I want to show it to you today. Before we begin, I have to say this tutorial will be a bit lengthy, so if you want to skip over making all of this yourself, I do have this material for sale on the link in the description below, as well as many other gems and other cave/mine related materials that you might find interesting, including a pack with all of my cave materials that I made so far with a very nice price just for you. Also right now I am doing a promotion because of Black Friday and also because this is my first tutorial, so definitely check out my store, link is in the description below. You might find something very interesting for a very nice price. Oh, also, do check out Chris Bettini on YouTube, as one of their materials served as inspiration for making this one. Without further ado, let's start with this tutorial. Okay, so now that we are in Blender, the first thing that we're gonna do is add a gem. So we're gonna delete this cube, and I'm actually going to be using a special add-on. That's really not that bad. It's just this one, add mesh extra objects. Why? Because well, if you press Shift A, you can actually see over here that in mesh we have diamonds, and that should be pretty nice for what we're trying to do. So there you go, easy diamond. We can actually modify it a bit there. I'm just gonna leave it default. I think it would look fine. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to go to shading. Here's our diamond. We're gonna add a new material. We're gonna call this gem material. We're gonna delete this principal BSDF because we're not gonna need it. Okay, to begin our setup, we're gonna add a noise texture. So if you press Shift A, you can press search and then noise texture. There we go. Gonna leave it like that for now. We're gonna be adding a math node. Yes, we need to do a little bit of math for this. We're gonna connect the fact into the value, and we're gonna set this to subtract. Okay, now we're going to add another math node. You can actually just duplicate this by pressing Shift D. Connect the value to the value, and then set this one to multiply. There you go. Now this is what I was talking about with the node wrangler. If you have that add-on, you can just press Ctrl Shift click, and it will show you what that is like so far. Right now this doesn't really look like anything, but we're gonna make it look like something. We're gonna grab all of these and we're gonna make a group out of it. So we're gonna press Ctrl G. There you go. So this is a group. These are the inputs, these are the outputs. We're gonna grab the input here. I'm gonna put that into the vector, and now we're gonna put some values into this. We're gonna set this as 0.9 as the default value. You don't have to do my exact numbers. You can actually play with them a little bit. So definitely feel free to do that. I'm gonna put 6.1 on detail. Roughness, maybe a 0.6. And distortion, something like a 1. Okay. So, whoops. I accidentally unloaded the material, but that is fine. These are the values that we're working with. Now, this one I'm gonna put just a tiny little bit less, about 0.45, just to give us like more cloudiness on this, as you can see. This one we're gonna make it maybe one less. Yep, that should be fine. Okay, this one we also need to clamp it. That is very important. And now here's something interesting. This is not necessary at all, but if you plan to use this for multiple objects, it is definitely useful, as you can play with the scale of this a little bit. So we're actually going to grab another input and put it onto the scale. That's going to be useful for us later. In order to get out of this node group, we're going to press Ctrl Tab, and there you go, we have our node group. Very nice. We're going to call this... This technique does have a name. This should be called SDF. You can call it whatever, really. I'm gonna call it middle step, because it is a step in the middle. Because now we're going to do something else. The output of this node group, we're gonna set to another math node. This time we're gonna use vector math. Kind of different from the regular math node. We're gonna set this to scale. There you go. And the output of the first group, we're actually gonna put it onto this one right here, onto the scale. And the vector, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. But first, let's duplicate this one, put it here. Again, it goes onto the bottom one. And this one, we're gonna set it to subtract. Whoops, it actually disconnected. It's fine, because this one is a vector. Okay, there we go. Now we're gonna grab all of these once again. And once again, we're gonna make another group. So Ctrl G. Now we have a new group with all of this stuff. And this might be a little confusing because we have to connect a lot of things with a lot of other things. So just bear with me and try to do it as I do all of this stuff. Okay. Firstly, one of the inputs goes onto the vector right here. Easy enough, right? Now we're gonna need another input, and we're gonna put it onto the first vector of our vector math node. You can put it a bit over here. Now this same input, we're actually gonna put it onto the output of this, which might sound a bit confusing, but it does make sense, I promise. And the first input, the first vector, we're gonna put it as this other vector for the second node. So as you can see, it is a bit confusing, but it shouldn't be that complicated. And we're gonna add a final input onto the scale of this. And there you go. Now, as you can see, we have two vectors over here. That is kind of confusing. So I am actually going to change the names. So press N, bring up this menu. And then this second vector, I'm gonna call it RD, because of this technique uses something called the RD. You don't have to understand it right now, just bear with me. You can really call it whatever, it is just for understanding purposes. Get out of this group by pressing Ctrl Tab. And there you go. Now we have our final node group. After this, we don't need any more groups. We can just go right into what we're going to be doing. Firstly, we need a geometry node. So search for geometry. The position is going to go onto our first vector. And the incoming is going to go onto our second vector. We're going to leave the scale like that for now. We're gonna connect it in a second. Okay, so now we gotta do something kind of weird, kind of strange. The effect that we're trying to accomplish, which is kind of like a 3D cloudy effect, that is made by basically putting a bunch of these groups together, one right after the other. It's like a cascade effect. So in order to do that, we're gonna grab this group. We're gonna hit Shift V, and we're gonna duplicate it. We want exactly 8 of this. So that is 6, 7, sorry. That is 3, 4, 5, 6 now. Whoops. 7 and 8. So we have 8 of those. And now this section is a bit annoying, but it is interesting. So the first output of this group is going to go into the first input of the second group. Second output into the second input. So on and so forth. You're gonna do that for all of these. So as you can see, a bit annoying, but I'm gonna show you what happens in each of these steps. So as you can see, every time we pile another one of these, we get a more cloudy 3D effect, which is exactly what we want. So let's connect the rest of these. Okay, feel free to pause the video if you have to, because this does take a while and I probably put it on, I probably fast forwarded. So this is the end result of all of these duplicates. So there you go. As you can see, it is rather nice. It is this cloudy sort of 3D effect, which is exactly what we want in order to make this gem. Now about the scale, something we can actually do is search for a value node. So over here, and all of these scales are gonna get connected to this. There we go. So because our scale is on 0 right now, it's like we completely remove the effect. But as you can see, by changing the value, we can actually change how this looks. We're gonna leave it on 0.9 for now. And there you go. Now finally we need to add another vector math into this. That's gonna go onto the exit of this, specifically on the bottom one. We're going to set this to distance, and this first input we're going to connect the position of the geometry node. There you go. Right now there's not much happening. Now here it is. Now as you can see, this is an interesting effect. It doesn't look like much right now, but we're gonna make this a lot prettier. Okay, we're gonna add another node. This time is gonna be a ramp, a color ramp node. There you go. And we can actually play with this. Gonna make the black, it's a bit blacker. The white, a bit whiter. Maybe this one in the middle. This one around there should be fine. Maybe there. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now with this color ramp, this is how we can control the colors of our gem. So for example, let's make this one red, because why not? So the black is going to be sort of like a very dark red. I'm gonna put it about there. Maybe a bit darker. Well, you can play with your colors a bit. And then this one, we're gonna set it to, well, red. I don't know if I like that. Doesn't look that bad. Maybe we can make it a bit more like that. Maybe not so saturated. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I do like it a bit more like that, perhaps. Okay, so this is our gem for now. Obviously, it doesn't look quite complete just yet, but you can definitely see that it is getting there. So, if you want to see how the scaling affects this, well, we can just scale it upwards, and you can see how that changes our entire gem over here. So for example, if you make the scaling a bit like that, it's gonna make it have some more shapes around it, which is good. I think I'm gonna leave it like that. I think it looks pretty enough. So that's gonna be our gem. We could technically finish right here. Kind of. But we're actually gonna add a few more effects just to make it even prettier, even more stylized, if you will. Now the first thing that we're going to do is we're gonna add a couple of shines into this beautiful thing. So for that, we're actually going to do a mix RGB. Now this will be the color 1. We're going to do a layer weight node over here. The Fresnel is going to go onto the FAC. There we go. Blend is fine the way it is. Now right now it looks very weird, but we can just make it something like an orange, something like that. Now as you can see, this gives our gem sort of like a glow. When you go like look at that. See how the top and a part of the bottom is a bit more glowy? That is exactly what we want. Probably gonna reduce that a little bit more. And yeah, I think actually this one should be on add. Now that I realize. There we go. So as you can see, it gives it a nice little glow, as these stylized gems should have. And we can give an even more interesting effect. You know how when they draw gems, like different faces have different kinds of intensity of the light because of the light hitting them? So that's sort of what we're trying to accomplish now. And in order to do that, we're going to get another one of these. But now the faculty is going to be a little bit different. This one is going to be a bit darker, I would say. Something like that, maybe. Okay. But obviously, right now, that doesn't make a lot of sense because we need the FAC. Okay, so the next step is going to be creating a Voronoi texture. So search Voronoi over here. There we go. Perfect. The scale is going to be around 2. And now we're gonna add another vector math. So look for that. This one is going to be set to multiply add. And we're gonna be connecting the color into the vector. Multiplier, we're gonna set it as 2. And then addend is gonna be minus. Minus 1. There we go. Also, if you didn't know, yes, you can change multiple values by just dragging and then changing all of them, which is interesting. Okay, I'm gonna duplicate my vector math, and this second one is going to be a dot product. So the second vector is going to be this other multiply add, and the first vector is going to be our incoming from our geometry node. So there you go. Beautiful. Right now, this is what we're doing. So as you can see, it's a very interesting effect. Definitely interesting effect. Already this honestly looks kind of beautiful. Not gonna lie. But I think you can see where we're going. Okay, now we need a few normal math nodes. We're gonna do the first one. This one is going to be another multiply add. I'm gonna leave the default values. And the last thing we need, which is another math node, this one is going to be a power. There we go. We're gonna put this about 10. There we go. Very nice. Now we can connect this into the FAC over here. Very nice. So let's see how our material looks like so far. Okay, so now we got these other interesting big chunks, as you can see over there. So like when you rotate around, you can actually see some faces and some different like pieces of this gem. Kind of like light up for a moment. And it's just this very nice effect. Of course, if you don't want any of these effects, you can always just skip over them. Okay, now we're gonna do another interesting effect, which is just a nice little touch. Okay, we're going to, actually I'm going to duplicate this one. It's gonna be another mix RGB. Again, set to add. And this color is going to be a bit more, something most creamy looking. Something like that maybe. Right now obviously it doesn't make any sense, but it will be, don't worry about it. So, you don't have to set the color right now, I'm just doing it to look at the final result. But for this one, we're going to be adding a new Voronoi scale, a new Voronoi texture, sorry. I don't know why I said scale. We're gonna set it like down here. Okay, so this Voronoi texture for this object is going to be around 29. We're actually gonna change this Euclidean to Minkowski in order to get this randomness thing. And we're gonna see how that looks like. Okay, very nice. Now we're going to add a new vector math node. There you go. We need the color as the first vector. We're gonna set this to multiply add, by the way. Multiply add. And then the first vector is not gonna be that. Wait, sorry, I think I messed that up. Color into the first vector. Multiplier around 1.1. Addend about minus 0.6. As you can see, very interesting effect, sort of like a jigsaw puzzle. Now we're going to create a dot product again. So we need another vector math. Dot product. Now we're going to use the incoming output of this geometry node. There you go. That's going to be our first vector in order to dot product. If you want to see how that looks like, well, it looks like this. It's an interesting effect once again. Also looks like glistening. It's a little shiny. Okay. Now we need something a little weird. We're gonna need a bunch of math nodes. First math node goes into the value. This goes as multiply add. We're going to leave the default values as 0.5. We're gonna add the power again, which is the exact same as this one, in fact. So we can just put that over there. Gonna be a power of 10 once again. But now we need something else. We're gonna duplicate that one. Now this one is going to go onto this value. This one is gonna be a multiply. There you go, multiply, as you can see. So what are we gonna be multiplying? We're gonna be multiplying the distance of this, but we need another operation first. So duplicate a math node. This one set it to less than, so over there, less than, and that is exactly what we're going to put distance onto the value, and then as a threshold we're gonna be doing this dot product. Again, a bit confusing, I know, but just bear with me. This one connects to the multiply math node that we added at the end. And now we can see how that looks like. Basically what we did with all of that is turn that shininess into these very tiny stars. That is literally what we did with all of this math. Just reduce all of that into these little stars all over the gem. And that's just gonna give it a very nice effect. Now, you can probably imagine what we're gonna do with this one. We're gonna set the output of that into our mix RGB that we had before, specifically the faculty. Okay, we're gonna see how that looks like. And we're basically gonna get those little shines all over the gem, but now with the color that we selected, which just gives you a nice little thing. Obviously you can leave it like black and white. It's not gonna look bad. I just prefer to have a little bit more control over them so they look like, if you have a blue gem, you can make this a little bit more blue and it's gonna look fantastic. But as you can see, it just gives it a nice little effect. Look at those little shines all over the gem. So this already looks very, very nice. Very, very nice. But we're not done yet. We are not done yet because we're going to add a very interesting effect on this. Again, all of these steps you can just skip over if you don't want the effect, but if you do want the effect, it is really damn cool. Okay, first of all, we're gonna create a geometry node. And just for simplicity's sake, I'm actually gonna create a group with this one. Just so we can work directly onto the group. Now this looks really weird because this is not at all what we want. We don't want these many things as the output. Actually, we can just delete the outputs over here. There we go. We're not gonna need an input, in fact. We're gonna leave it over there. So, this is just so we can work with a bit more space without having to worry about everything else. Because we do need to do a couple of things with this. Okay, so first of all, new vector math. As you can see, this material is rather difficult to make because there's a lot of math involved. We're gonna get the normal of this and we're gonna set this to the first vector. This is going to be a cross product. Cross product. And the other value for the cross product is going to be a tangent. So look for that. We're gonna set this to UV map. We're gonna set this to here. There we go. That is our cross product. This cross product is gonna help us. We're going to duplicate this another. Well, we're gonna duplicate this to create another vector math. This one is gonna be a dot product. This goes on the bottom, and then the top will be this incoming output that this has. Okay, there we go. We have a dot product. Now we're gonna duplicate this dot product. I'm gonna put it over here for now. The first thing that we need a vector. We're gonna use the same tangent, putting that into the vector on the bottom, and then the incoming as the top. This is our second dot product, and we're gonna join those with a combine XYZ. I'm gonna put this into the Y, and this one onto the X. We're not gonna be using the C one. If you wanna look how that looks like, well, that looks like this. It is very weird, but it's gonna help us for so many different things. Okay. Another vector math, we're gonna take it from here, if you will. We're gonna use a tangent function. There you go. So we're gonna calculate the tangent of this vector, and that tangent is going to go to another vector math, specifically a scale vector math. The scale, actually, this is an input that we can put. Definitely. So on the input, we're actually gonna put this specific scale. Now we're going to get the UV map. So UV map. That's gonna go into another vector math that's called subtract. Well, what's called? It's just the mode. You know what I mean. So this goes on the top. The other one goes on the bottom. is gonna subtract it, and there it is. So this is how we're having this specific node setup. We're going away from this group, press Ctrl Tab. Ctrl Tab. There you go. This is our node group. What are we gonna do with this? Well, firstly, we need another dot product. Sorry, it's a vector math. Vector math, first and foremost. This result is going to go onto this vector. We do need to add a dot product to this. Okay, I think I messed up the output here, so sorry, I had to like reconnect this one. So if that happens, just reconnect it. I don't really know why that happened. Like as you can see, it lets me connect it just fine now. I don't know, that was a bit weird. Now the vector here, I think this depends again on what you want and on your object. This is what worked for me. I don't remember if this was 0.25 or minus 0.25. I think it was minus 0.25. Okay, so that's how that looks for now. Okay, so something important that I forgot to say while I was recording, and I am now noticing, is that I never really said what section this was. So if you see this, this node over here, the node group that we did, then the dot product, then this is the only thing that you would need for these things. Okay, so these are specifically to get the little shines. All right, I'm gonna edit this right after putting the node group. This is all you need. Okay, you need the node group, connect that into a dot product, put these values 0.5, 0.25 and 0. Although you can again mess with them. It's not like anything is going to happen if you do. Like you're just gonna, you know, mess up with this and make it interesting. And then this is a math node, a regular math node. You set that to compare, and you set the value to 0.3 and then epsilon to 0.025. Although again, you can just mess with those and see what works for your object. And now that goes into this color over here. It is a difference. This is not necessary to do if you're going to do if you're not going to do this whole other section. Now this other section is for creating well, actually I can just show you. We're gonna throw that into there, and only in cycles this is the effect that we're creating with that other section. So basically, if you want a bevel, you can keep watching the tutorial and it is this whole section. Okay, so if you want that, if you want these edges to be a bit more shiny, a bit more interesting, that is what you would do. Okay, and if you want everything, well, just copy everything. Firstly, we need a texture coordinate node. Let's set it over here. Actually, I might throw this back a little bit. Now we're gonna do a bevel. We're gonna put this into the normal. We're gonna set the radius to about 0.15 samples. That is fine. We need another vector math over here. This one set to subtract. Normal goes into the first vector this time, and then the second vector should be this normal over here, which actually I think I messed this up. This is supposed to be the normal one here onto the bevel. So the normal goes into the bevel and it goes into this vector. Now we're going to grab another vector math. We're gonna set this to absolute, If I can find it, absolute, there we go. Put the vector there. It's a very simple operation, we don't need anything else. Once again, we need a thing here. Specifically, we need a dot product. Dot product, there we go. Yes, this is gonna be the top vector, and the bottom vector is going to be... We're gonna come directly from here. This is gonna be the bottom vector. So there it is. Now this one goes onto another vector math node. This time a scale node. This one goes onto the actual vector. And this first dot product that we had is going to go into the scale. Oh, sorry, not into the scale. We actually need something else. We need a compare. So we're gonna do the regular math node. We're gonna set this here. This is where this goes. And this is going to be a compare. This is gonna be set to compare. There you go, compare. And we're gonna be comparing again around 0.3. And this one is gonna be very small. Around 0.03, perhaps. These ray things are purely white, and that is good if that is what you want, but that is not necessarily what I want. So I'm actually going to put here a mix RGB. Basically that's gonna transform these white things into color. So the scaling of this goes onto the FAC here, over here. Now this should be just two colors. I'm gonna keep this one black because that should be this black part. And this, we can make it white for now, but we might change the color later. And now this one is going to go onto another mix node, a mix RGB. That's gonna have this as the color 1 and this as the color 2. Oh, sorry, this as the faculty. Okay, sorry, this is not where you change the color yet. I'm gonna change saturation on this one. This one is supposed to be just white. After this, we need one final step to create this beautiful effect. We're gonna add here a mix shader. The FAC is going to be this one. There we go. And now color going to go on this one, and on this one we can just get an RGB, and this will be the actual color. And I'm gonna make it a bit orangey. So as you can see, I can actually change the color of this. I'm gonna make it something orangey, something like that. So as you can see, that looks very pretty. Now here's something important. Right now I am rendering in Eevee, okay? And as you can see in Eevee it works pretty good, actually. But there is one effect that we set up here, and I'm pretty sure Editor-san has put the message there that specific section was for that effect. So if we go to cycles, you can actually see an extra effect, which is that the edges of this kind of looks a bit more illuminated. So you know how some gems, again in like drawings and stuff, would have like the edges to be like a bit more shiny? That is basically what this is doing. I'm gonna set this like a lot less, just so you can actually see it. But yes, that is basically what we're trying to do here. Like you can see those edges, like it is a very nice effect. So I do apologize for that. Again, I probably make Editor-san did it, but yeah, these edges are what you made over there. Okay, so all of that done, this is the final result of our material. As you can see, quite a heavy material, but it is so beautiful to look at. This creates such a beautiful gem, and we can easily modify this, which is even more impressive. So let's make a Shift D. Let's create another diamond over here, and this one we can very easily change it into something beautiful. If we change the colors here, that is really all we have to do. Maybe this one I want it to be more blue. Oh, sorry, I kinda forgot. I need to duplicate the material, and then this one we can make it a blue, a deep blue color. Then the dark is going to be a very dark blue, almost purpley maybe. Then we can change this color. We can make this, yeah, that looks pretty nice. Okay, this one maybe is going to go a bit more over here. This one is going to be a very light blue, and finally this one going to be also a nice blue. And as you can see, just like that, we now have a beautiful blue gem. And we can apply this material to a lot of things as well, because again, this is procedural. So what if we create a cube, for example? Let's move this cube down here. And we want this cube to have the same material as the blue gem over there. Well, there you go. You have it. And it looks just the same. Now, obviously, you would want to create some more interesting looking gems other than just a cube. But you know what I mean, right? Like, you can apply this to absolutely everything and get some amazingly beautiful gems. Just like that. All you have to do is change these colors and apply the material to whatever object you want. And it is going to be absolutely beautiful. So I do hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if there's any question that you have. I will try to answer everything to the best of my capabilities. And of course, if you like this video, how about give me a like? And once again, like I said at the beginning, if you want to just skip over everything, all of this, because it is a lot to do, just buy it on my shop and you will have it for just easily. You won't have to do all of this. All you have to do is change your colors and that's it. So definitely check it out and check out my other materials, which are all gem related for now, but you might see, if you're watching this in the future, you might see a couple more materials over there. So thank you so much for watching, and let me know what else you would want me to create next, because I would love to hear your ideas, and maybe I'll bring some more tutorials. I decided to end my tutorial with my face, but yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this tutorial was helpful for you. Let me know what you did with this material, if you did decide to use it, and if you want, you can definitely tag me on Twitter or also join my Discord server and show me what you created over there. I will be the most delighted person to see your creations, because I really want to see what you guys create. I think these gems are absolutely beautiful. I was amazed by the results that I managed to create. I think they look very nice, and I want to see what you can create with these beautiful gems. Maybe you create a cave, a gems, I don't know. I want to see your creativity. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what else you would want me to make a tutorial of. I have some things planned already. And again, do check out my store on Ko-fi if you want to see this material, as long as many other materials that I made. If you're interested, of course. I have several packages, and again, special discounts for Black Friday. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you like, and check out my other kinds of content. I do gaming, I do other kinds of stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next tutorial. Sayonara!